Hello and welcome to another exclusive video by me, Alex Belfield, here at celebrityradio.biz, where last year, whatever 12 million minutes viewed on YouTube, we're the #1 reviewer of theatre in the UK and Las Vegas, online, YouTube and Google, we come first. This week we're not doing a review, we're talking about stars who cancel shows and why they do it. Is it because they're ill or is it because they're too tired? I received an email last week from a gentleman who was heartbroken, paying hundreds of pounds to come from Blackpool to see Michael Ball and Alfie Boe in Les Mis the concert. We'll read you his email in a bit. Michael Ball wasn't on the show that night because he was ill. That's what it said at the theatre. And in fact, he took the following week off too. But he did, however, manage to get out of bed the following morning to be live across the nation on Europe's #1 radio station, BBC Radio 2, where he did a Children in Need special. It was also well enough to record a plug for their new album, Back Together, by Alfie and Michael for Children in Need on the Friday night. He was also able to do many interviews the week before, 20 for BBC Local Radio, Radio 2, Sunday Brunch, Lorraine, Loose Women, all these type of people. Yes, they were on the PR trail big time. Now, here's the thing. When you're doing 8 shows a week in the West End, you can't be doing a PR trail and 16 other jobs and cruises like Alfie did, and expect not to get ill. Here's my point, because a lot of thickos have not quite understood what I'm trying to say about this. I made a video about Alfie a few weeks ago, which I'm going to put at the end of this video so you can watch it. And I'm going to repeat some facts. West End stars are very precious little flowers that have to be very careful what they do when they're not on stage, because to perform for 2.5 hours, 8 times a week, takes incredible discipline, incredible strength and incredible energy. What you can't be doing is being schlepped around London in the back of a black car to go and do interviews for this one, that one and the other one to promote your new CD. I don't have a problem with anybody being ill ever. I am a performer myself. If I get ill, I can't do the show. I get it. But if that illness is brought on by exhaustion, which is the #1 reason you get ill, let's face it, when you're tired, you're more vulnerable and prone, and these guys haven't stopped for weeks PRing this new album. I have no sympathy with Michael Ball. How can you cancel a show that hundreds of people have paid £200, £150, £120, even £50 to see, in the hope that they'd get their star? Les Miserables, the concert producers, keep bragging about this as a sellout success. Oh, in which case now we've got your money, we don't have to worry whether the stars turn up, is that it? I'm not going to go on about Alfie. I've already made my case that this guy is not loyal to his fans, and I have to say I'm hugely disappointed in Michael. Radio 2 is a huge priority. Children in Need is a massive priority. But it's not a bigger priority than 981 people at the Gielgud Theatre who have paid in good faith months ago to see you in Les Mis the concert. These people who think they can shaft their fans by doing 16 jobs whilst being in the West End is not acceptable, and I will continue to call them out. And by the way, don't think Cameron McIntosh, the agents of Alfie and Michael, and the PRs of these people aren't involved in this. They are. Because if you listen to the Children in Need thing, I happen to be driving back from Thursford, having reviewed that, listening to this whole shambles, where Alfie made a joke, "Oh, you're not looking very well today, are you, Michael?" How sarcastic. Imagine if you were one of the 900 people who had paid 150 quid to see him the night before, and you're taking the piss because you think it's funny, because you're playing the game. They're plugging their tour, advertising via Ticketmaster, totally against BBC editorial guidelines, by the way. You're not allowed to do that. You can't kid a kidder. I worked there for 15 years. Plugging Ticketmaster and the tour, and then, of course, the cast of Les Mis come on to plug the live event via the cinemas. You're all in on it. I get it. But, you're screwing the people who have actually paid to see your show because you can't turn up because you're too ill. Too ill or too idle and lazy, knowing that you needed all your energy for the next day. That's why you cancelled the Saturday night. How could you do that? Now, I know you were off the week after, so you cancelled another 8 shows. Interesting. So that's nearly 10,000 people didn't get to see Michael Ball in this show who have paid. Because he was ill or because he was too tired. You decide. I just want to give you a couple of paragraphs from this email I was sent privately from a gentleman. We were very excited and living in Blackpool, subsequently made our travel and accommodation arrangements in London, building a 2-night short break around going to see Les Mis the concert. We are sure that you appreciate a visit like this is incredibly costly. He goes on to say we were utterly disappointed on entering the theatre to see a few notices being displayed advising us that Michael Ball would not be appearing due to illness. We ourselves were both suffering from colds and sore throats, and therefore, although disappointed, we fully understood. And Michael's understudy did a splendid job. However, the reason for this email is to express how upset we were when we switched on our radio the next morning on our journey home to hear Michael Ball in fine voice and sounding in tip-top condition for his live broadcast from the Savoy Theatre, London, between 11 and 1 on BBC Radio 2, with luncheon and proceedings in aid of children in need continuing throughout the afternoon. Can you see how disgusting this is when people pay hundreds of pounds to come from miles away to see a star, and they're not well enough to perform in the show, but they are well enough to go on national radio the following morning and talk for 3 hours? Michael, you should be ashamed. It's not good enough. I know you were ill. I believe you were ill. I absolutely believe you're ill. But I believe you and Alfie have been ill because you're burning the candle at both ends. And you're shafting your fans and you're shafting the people who paid a lot of money simply because you're sold out and you don't care because the album's more important than Les Mis. You should be ashamed of yourself. Focus on your show. Do the show. Then worry about everything else once that's closed on December 2nd. I bet you won't be off next Monday when it's going to be broadcast live across the cinemas. Bet you won't use an understudy that night. I'm sick of this. Makes me puke. Do not take advantage of fans who pay good earned money with the anticipation that they'll get to see their star perform in their dream role in one of the most magical and brilliant musicals ever. And there you are, resting so that you're good enough for your Radio 2 show. You should be ashamed. Here's my thoughts on Alfie Boe, equally as contemptuous of his audience. Hello and welcome to a special vlog by me, Alex Belfield, here at Celebrity Radio. We're the #1 reviewer of theatre on YouTube and Google in the UK and Las Vegas, and we're appalled by Alfie Boe. We have known and loved Alfie for, well, I don't know how long, probably nearly 20 years. I first met him and saw him on Broadway in a show called La Boheme. Ironically, he was with a guy called David who went on to star in Il Divo. From then we followed him through all his albums and through Les Miserables at the O2. You only need to Google my website to find all the interviews. And I have always been raving about him. He's a magnificent talent, possibly the greatest tenor we've ever had in this country. He truly has that beautiful voice, but that doesn't give you the right to be an arsehole and to cheat your fans and to not turn up to gigs and to disappoint. Now, you're going to say to me, how dare you criticise a performer for being ill? I'm not, and here's why. I've been following Alfie for 10 years, watching him cancel tours, like the US tour, where fans had gone out and booked hotels and booked flights, and then he cancels. I myself booked a ticket to see him on Broadway in Les Miserables, and he cancelled because he was doing shows in Germany. They weren't scheduled when I booked my ticket. I was disappointed the whole audience booed when the announcement was made. It is made clear when Alfie's on and off. He doesn't do 8 shows a week like everyone else, and maybe nor should he, because he's an operatic classical singer and they can't do 8 shows a week like West End stars who can. However, when you're booked to do 5 shows, getting ill isn't a problem with me if you're genuinely ill. But here's the problem in the last 3 weeks with Alfie and Les Mis. 3 weeks ago, he went on a cruise. Now, you'll say it was booked in, and it was. It was made clear he wouldn't be appearing whilst he was on the festival stage's cruise. Okay, fine. But when you take 4 days off to go on a cruise ship, you're in front of thousands of people twice a day. You're on planes, you're going backwards and forwards, you're going to be exhausted, you're going to be tired, you're also going to be stressed because of the rehearsals and the sound and the band and da-da-da-da-da-da. And then you come back and, of course, he took shows off. This is where I get pissed off. Then they start plugging their CD for Alfie and Michael. Again, love Michael Ball, always have. Always loved Alfie, always have, let's keep saying it. But you can't do 25 BBC local interviews in a day and then expect to be match fit for Les Miserables in the evening. So last week he took off more shows. Then today he's off again from Les Mis. Now, he's ill. Okay, he's ill. But on Friday he's doing Children in Need live across the universe on BBC One. Will he be ill for that? Alfie has a reputation of prioritising everything but the thing he's doing at the time he's doing it. And this pisses me off on behalf of the fans. This is what you people need to understand. And Carrie, who tweeted tonight, the most sanctimonious, arrogant tweet about how dare an audience member call out the fact that Alfie didn't turn up. Listen, love, it's nearly £200 a ticket to see Les Mis in the stalls. On average, it's £100 a ticket. If I've travelled all the way down to Wigan or Blackpool or Newcastle or up from Southampton and Cornwall, and I believe I'm going to see Alfie Boe, I'm going to be pissed off. That doesn't justify somebody shouting out and embarrassing John Owen Jones, who, by the way, again, I've known for 20 years and is a good mate of mine. I adore the man. He's a fabulous singer. One of the best Jean Valjeans. My God, he's up there with the Dean Chisnells. He's up there maybe even with the Colms. And certainly with the Alfie Boes. Some people argue that John Owen Jones is a better actor than Alfie. I would probably agree with you. Alfie's got a stunning voice, but John Owen Jones is the big deal. He's a fabulous actor. But listen, when you're doing Lorraine and Loose Women, Cruisers, BBC local interviews, Radio 2, plugging on a Saturday, plugging on a Sunday, doing TV shows, you are not going to be match fit to do your show in the West End. And I'm telling you, it is not on, and the producers and Cameron should be ashamed of themselves allowing him to do it. I noticed a tweet on the Twitter of Les Miserables plugging the album. I wonder if there's a contra deal there. I noticed today they've put a tweet out that you can win tickets to the show if you buy the album. They're desperate to get this thing to number one, and God bless them. It's probably a fabulous CD. You cannot cheat your audience, and I'm seeing more and more of it in the West End. Producers being sneaky and stars like Alfie Boe taking the night off because he's ill. Listen, I don't know whether he was at rehearsals today for Children in Need at the BBC, but I know they were rehearsing today at the BBC. I'm telling you, you can't be rehearsing all day and then do an amazing show at night. But what you absolutely can't do is rehearse all day for stuff, or do interviews all day, or be schlepping around in cars doing interviews all day and expect to be prepared to do a show in the evening as challenging and as huge and as epic as Jean Valjean in Les Miserables. It's not acceptable. I have had fan after fan defending Alfie Boe. I'm sick of hearing it. Don't bother. I don't want to know. As far as I'm concerned, you're a fraud to your fans and you're totally disingenuous. If you were really ill, obviously, I have no problem, but my belief in this instance is that in the last 3 or 4 weeks, you've been ran off your feet doing everything other than Les Miserables, and you're knackered. And when you're knackered as an opera singer or as a tenor, you can't perform. John Owen Jones has stepped in and covered this man again and again and again in the last few weeks. Give him the role. He deserves it. Give it to Dean Chisnell. These people never miss a show. Killian Donnelly. These people never miss a show unless they have to. Yet this Alfie Boe, there he is schlepping around talking to Lorraine and Loose Women and all dickheads on BBC local radio and then cancelling the West End. I think it's shameful. I think it's disrespectful. And Carrie, your tweet tonight is really disappointing. I understand why you're trying to protect John, but in doing so, you're insulting your audience who just dreamed a dream of seeing Alfie Boe play Jean Valjean, and you fucked their chances. Well done, Alfie, again. What a class act.